Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is Pool Chapter 60, and this one is titled Snuggles. As I mentioned at the end of the previous chapter, we will skip the adult scene in bed and we pick up with them finishing up and snuggling. You've slept in my clothes before. Help yourself to anything in the drawers. He gestured towards the wardrobe, and you looked in its direction. The drawers are in the wardrobe, he added, just to clarify why he had pointed you towards the wardrobe. Gingerly you got up from the bed and wobbled towards the dressing doors, leaning far too much of your weight onto it as you pulled the doors open and looked inside for the clothes. What on earth is this? You reached out and felt the fabric of some item that was hung next to the drawer set. It feels like sleeping bag material. Suddenly the bedroom lights were flicked on from behind you, and you got a good look at the hung item. You were right. Sleeping bags, all hung up like they were a suit or a shirt. Sleeping bags? You said with surprise, not meaning for it to sound so surprised, but it did. Yes. Aizawa walked over behind you and reached into the drawers to pull them open so you could see in and pull out a t-shirt of his to wear. Why do you have your sleeping bags hanging up like they're clothes? You asked in an amused tone. Because they are, he replied nonchalantly, grabbing himself out a t-shirt and track pants and turning around to walk back to the bed. You thought about it for a second and then shrugged and reached into the drawer to get a shirt of your own out. I guess you're right. I've only ever seen you in a sleeping bag in a random place where you wouldn't be expecting for someone to be. You had pulled his t-shirt on and turned around to keep talking, but the way he was looking at you, with his half-lidded eyes propped up on one elbow in bed, made your heart jump into your throat and block your words. Come to bed, Yin. His deep voice drew you over, and before you knew it, you were snuggled into his side. Lights off, he called, and the room went dark again. That's handy, you said, closing your eyes and snuggling into him as you inhaled his scent. Once I'm in bed, I don't want to get out again, he replied, resting his head on the pillow and tucking his chin over the top of your head, making you feel very small. You smiled in the darkness and slowly drifted off to sleep. Thankfully, the next day was Sunday, and you woke to the sun streaming through the blinds. Aizawa was still fast asleep beside you, so you softly slipped out of bed and pattered off to the bathroom, then headed off down the hall to the kitchen to make a coffee for him and you, hoping he would wake when he smelled the coffee brewing. You found your phone in your bag that was still in the lounge room and checked the time, 12:30 p.m. Tucking the phone back in your bag, you walked back to the kitchen and started digging around in the cupboards and drawers to find what you needed for a coffee wake-up. You had almost finished making the heavenly liquid when a pair of masculine arms engulfed you from behind and a messy, shaggy head plopped down on your shoulder. Not surprisingly, you squealed with surprise, your quirk activating a little as you prepared to slap whatever it was that had grabbed you, but you quickly settled when you realised it was Aizawa. Apologies, he said in a raspy voice. I didn't mean to scare you. He let go of you and walked to the sink, grabbing himself a glass from the rack there and having a drink of water. It's okay. Sorry I jumped. I was enjoying that hug, I promise. It just gave me a surprise, you replied, realising that you had cut short a rarity, a hug from behind from Aizawa. Coffee, he said once he had swallowed the last of the water and put the glass on the sink. Oh, yep, here. Hope it's okay. You handed the mug to him and picked up your own, taking a sip at the same time that he did. Good, he said with a nod, walking past you to go to the lounge, and you followed him as well. I don't like to talk work if I don't need to, he started, putting his mug down on the coffee table and sitting down on the sofa and running his fingers through his shaggy hair. But since I have you here... Yeah, that's fine, you said, happily sitting down beside him and placing your mug down too, so that you two could have a chat. After the mid-year festival, we usually do a patrol day, where we take the students out in their hero uniforms and they have a section of the city that they have to watch. It gives them an opportunity to interact with the public and get their good names out there. I like that, he replied. Azashi will take a group, I will take a group, as well as Ectoplasm and Ishiyama. I was hoping that you would be comfortable taking a group as well, in place of All Might. Yes, of course. Why wouldn't I feel comfortable? You asked. The practice patrols are usually overseen by pro heroes, just in case villains appear during that time. Oh, I see. Well, I'm not a qualified hero, but I could use my quirk well enough to hold them off until you or one of the other hero teachers came to the rescue, he replied. It would be me. Aizawa stated protectively. I'll give you an adjacent route to mine, so that if anything goes wrong I can be there quickly. You did your best to suppress your smile, but he saw and reached his hand out to cup your cheek and chin in his hand. I couldn't forgive myself if anything were to happen to you, Yin. You positively melted at his touch and nodded gently. May I request students that could get a message to you quickly should a villain arrive on scene? You asked, scooting closer when Aizawa let go of your cheek and placed his hand on your shoulder and pulled you towards him. Yes, of course, he said, snuggling your form into his body and resting his head heavily on yours. Who would you like to take? If I could have Bakugo, Shoji, Koda, Jiro and Yaoyorozu, that would be great, he said with a smile as he tilted your head up and kissed his sparsely stubbled chin. Good choices. If nothing else, I'll hear Bakugo when he takes the villain on by himself. Good point, you chuckled. I guess all I really need is Bakugo. And there is the end of Chapter 60. Stay tuned for Chapter 61.